podcast that floats down here.
Hi, I'm Melissa, your Stephen King veteran.
Hi, I'm Ben, the Stephen King and horror film fanboy.
And hello, I'm Luke, your first-time Stephen King reader. All right, and we are back here for the last chapter of It, the Epilogue. Chapter title, Bill Denbrough Beats the Devil 2. This chapter was 11 pages, and that is 1.01% of this book. All right, so we're hanging out with Bill, right? And section 1, Melissa, what do you got for us?
I really just like the t-shirt that says, "Where the hell is Derry, Maine?"
Absolutely.
First of all, because if Bill ever gets out of there, he's not going to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Forgetting from the last chapter. So I think that's it. Not only is it funny, like, oh, great, I'm in this little small town, but also, I mean, we spent the whole last episode talking about how they're all forgetting. So literally, where is it? Because I don't know. Because I don't know if I've ever been there. Like, what is this place? I just appreciate it.
I actually misread that the first time through, and I read it as he picked it up the day before, as in the day before he came to Derry, like when he first flew into Bangor and stuff. And I'm thinking, that's even greater shirt to buy that beforehand, but now it makes more sense than half of Derry's in a hole. So,
yeah, I really, really like that shirt as well. So maybe be looking out on a certain T Public store here soon for a shirt that looks similar to that.
A bright orange tank top.
Bright orange tank top.
I'd rock that. And yeah, he's getting a little youthy in the clothing styles.
Yeah, but he's also feeling a lot of aging going on, right? He's talking about all sorts of, we'll say aging. Just he's feeling it, right?
Aging is hard, guys. It is hard. I am feeling Bill's pain. I'll just leave that there. Ow, it hurts.
I like the thought he has to himself looking in the mirror. You look ludicrous. What kid doesn't? You're no kid. Give this up. Fuck. Let's rock and roll a little. Bill said softly and left the room. That ends off the section. But he's like, I got a plan. I'm putting it into motion.
Yeah, and we still don't really know what this plan is at this point, right? And he's basically just saying, "You're too old for what you've got in mind, Billy boy. You'll kill both of you." And it's like, what are you gonna do? Like, we know now, but yeah, at this point, it just seems like he's.
Are you gonna go rob a bank? Are you gonna drive off a cliff? Are you going scuba diving? What is the plan here, man?
He's feeling his age. But he's also, it seems like he's trying to short circuit that aging process that we saw them all revert when they were going down into the tunnels and everything. And it seems like he's trying to force that to happen to free himself, potentially moving forward. But yeah, I just think it's really interesting that he's trying to play the part, right? Wear the suit and you'll play the part. Wear the kid clothes and maybe it'll work out. Anything else on that section?
Nope.
All right, section 2. So what happens in this section here? Oh, this is a very short section that is essentially dreams that Bill is going to have in the future. It says, in the dreams he will have in later years, he is always leaving Derry alone at sunset. He's remembering some of these, like the theological seminary and the Victorian houses. But he hears these footsteps, and the only other sound is water rushing hollowly through the storm drains. So this is just confirmation that whatever he has planned, he's going to survive it at least.
So my comment to that is, how do you know this is Bill? It never uses his name. It just says he. There could be some other he who's remembering this to be able to tell. It could be Mike.
That's true. It's not an interlude, though, so it's not Mike.
Oh, you don't know.
But my only note to that was it doesn't mean just because it doesn't mean it doesn't kill him doesn't mean it doesn't kill someone.
I agree with that. This is not a vote of confidence for Audra surviving, but I think Bill's gonna make it through if indeed this is Bill, which I believe it is, because the whole chapter is named after him.
Yeah, so there's lots of chapters named after other people that other characters then have parts in. So, I'm just saying.
I agree. I'm just playing the odds here, playing the numbers.
And I'm playing the devil's advocate, even though apparently he loses in this section.
Get beat by Bill Dembro. So it was a real short section. A couple of those in this chapter, and let's move on to section 3, where we have the return of Silver. Right, so Bill walks out onto the driveway. I guess he's actually leaving Mike's house now. Is this the timing here, or was that at the end of last chapter?
No, they're still at Mike's house.
Yeah, they're just getting ready to leave Mike's house, and nice to see Silver again. I knew we would see it again at some point. It had a part to play, or else it would not have returned the way it did. So I'm glad that it comes up and isn't just unused. So
do you? I'm going to ask my question for you now, even though I should probably save it. I'm not going to save it. Were you surprised that it came back? Like, oh yeah, I had forgotten about that, or like, thank goodness this is here, or like, had you thought about Silver at all in the last several chapters worth of stuff? Because it just went missing.
I hadn't really thought about it since the last time we talked about it, which was them basically taking it. Because it's just sitting in the garage, right?
Yeah, it's been since at least grown-up Silver,
right?
Has been in there since the walking tours,
right? And the last time we saw it with the kids was when they were writing it down to the standpipe, basically, and then they walked the rest of the way. And so I always knew that it would have another part to play. In all honesty, I had not thought about it in a long time since then, but I think not surprised at all, I guess, is how I feel about it.
If I remember correctly, Luke, I think you'd mentioned it when they were heading down as adults. You're like, Silver has to pop up again somewhere. I remember.
Well, that was all that same chapter still. So that was the one that was going back and forth between young and old. So it was kind of both of those at the same time. And so I thought I had that prediction that it's going to play a part, because you were like, what's it going to do? And I was like, it's going to fucking do something. I don't know.
I remember the first time I read this going, oh my God, I had forgotten about Silver. Well, thank God he's come back. Because I was your typical reader who didn't connect the dots. I didn't, obviously it was 20 years ago that I read this, and I was not nearly as detailed in a read as we have been. So it didn't stick with me that it should be something I should pay attention to. It was just another, Stephen King, he throws random stuff in there all the damn time.
You mean the first time you read this, you didn't stew on every chapter for 2 weeks and then reread it 6-7 times and then move on to the next one after discussing with 2 of your closest family members for hours?
You make it sound like it took me 2 weeks to read the whole book.
Right.
Have you not met me? If I don't finish a book in 2 days, then it's not a very good book.
I blame the author.
See, my spoil on it was, spoiler, miniseries. The scene is in there, but it's so I knew this was coming, so it never was a shock to me. Just remember watching that as a kid.
Nice. Benji, you got another note there?
I got nothing on this section.
Nothing on this section? All right. Melissa, nothing else?
Nope.
All right. Section 4. So section 4 is kind of a continuation of section 2, which is this unknown dreaming narrator type character that I believe is Bill. Or it's someone, it's talking about Bill, I'll say. And Benj, why don't you go ahead and kick us off on this section here?
Yeah, so he's kind of remembering somewhat of the good of Derry from his childhood, at least the architecture. Talks about the brick fort of Derry Elementary, the kissing bridge and its complex intaglio of initials. And sometimes, even if you're forgetting, because, he hasn't left Derry, so he hasn't forgotten it all. But even those remnants will still trigger in stuff you've completely forgotten. Like you'll see something that just has that spark that just hits, and just reading that's the feeling I got from this section. And I was trying to figure out where this tied in because it didn't tie, like, because it just continues. The first line is "and he sees," it's lowercase "and," so it's a continuation from section 2. I couldn't figure out. I didn't go back to double check where it tied into, but that makes a lot more sense now that you say that.
Yeah, so the
That's part
very
of the dream.
last section, part of section 2, it says the only other sound is water rushing hollowly through the storm drain. And then section 4, and he sees all those places again intact as they were then.
Yeah.
And then it talks about the elementary school, the kissing bridge, the Paul Bunyan statue, and his heart breaks with love and horror because of all of these reasons that we've learned about in this book. Yeah, I would imagine even when he subconsciously thinks of his home, there's still that pang of panic, even though he would never be able to put his thumb on it. The same way that when he wrote all of his books, he never realized a lot of them were influenced by either Pennywise or his brother Georgie's death. And it was just, from wherever writers get their creativity. In this case, it was very specific, like things that he lived through, but would never be able to come up with that kind of subliminal creativity, if you will. And I think this is a pretty neat little section here. It has one of those classic person writing a story saying like, if this was a story, this is about the time that such and such would happen. Or like we'd be on the last couple pages of the book. And that's what happens here. It says, if this would be the last half dozen pages of a story, which it is. And I don't know, like that can be pretty cheesy, I think, but I thought it was nice here because it's very, self-aware of itself. I think I liked it.
I had the same thing highlighted. So
did you?
Yeah. I had it highlighted. Was go put a note down. I saw yours. I'm like, damn it. All right, never mind.
Yeah, I mean, with these sections being so short, I'm not surprised if people are highlighting the same things. So, anything else on section 4? Nope. Section 5. What happens in section 5?
So section 5.
Actual plot happens in section 5.
Oh, things happen in section 5.
He retrieves Audra and they head out. But my note kind of starts it just talking about Audra itself. It's kind of the description they give of her being able to be walked and move. It's almost as if she doesn't have a soul, like it was just straight up sucked out of her, Dementor style.
Exactly how I felt this whole time.
It was, I kind of that feeling. I wanted to get to it first. She's there, but not. It's kind of like she's away. The true of herself isn't there, but it's, in my opinion, probably worse than just her straight up being comatose. And it took me until this section to figure out the differences between catatonic and comatose. Because catatonic, you can move and everything just aren't there. Comatose, you're just not there. Your body is, but everything else isn't. So I don't know how I would feel, like which I would rather deal with. Just a straight up comatose, and it's like, you're there and that's all I can do. But the catatonic, I don't know. It's just it's an odd description, and I never really thought about it until this read through.
So you're asking, would I rather have my significant other be bedridden and be under, or be awake and able to move but have the exact same amount of ability to interact? So the amount of interaction doesn't change. Mostly just the fact of, are they bedridden or are they able to move?
Well, ask Daenerys Targaryen when she had to deal with Khal Drogo.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
So exactly that.
Yeah.
But I like your Dementor analogy there too. That's exactly how I was feeling. Soul sucked out.
Yep.
But we do get some signs of life from her in this one here. Oh, but before that, we don't. Bill kind of puppets her out down the stairs, and she almost tumbles down, and he gets the bike.
Bernie's there.
Oh, yeah, basically, Weekend at Bernie, pretty much. And when they get to the bike, Melissa, go for it.
My favorite thing, he gets her on the bike, and she's just standing there, and he just pushes down on the top of her head. Here you go, honey.
Yep.
You can't live like that forever. That's bad, right? Sit down.
Yeah.
No, and she did. She sat, and I know he's doing it lovingly, but if this doesn't work, nothing's going to, because that's bad.
Yeah. No, that line stood out to me as quite blatantly too. Of, well, that's odd. That's just disappointing. Is not the word. It's sad, and to have to live like that would be. I feel for people that do have to live like that. It's
I mean, think about that.
tragic.
This is probably not the first time he's had to do that.
Oh yeah, I mean he's had to do everything for her lately,
Right.
and that's here's to a new normal, I guess.
That's how he's learned to get her to sit.
Mm-hmm. Hey, it was effective.
It's true.
So he kind of riles himself up to go through with it all, right? And he kind of tells himself, what, if I don't lose my guts. And he thought of the kid that he met earlier during his stay in Derry when it had still been happening. You can't be careful on a skateboard, the kid had said. Truer words were never spoken. And then he starts going. He's mentally choosing to beat the devil, right? He's getting himself in this state of reckless abandon, I think is kind of the best way of putting it, and putting them both into that to feel like kids again. And he starts having some short signs of life, right? She kind of grabs onto his waist before he pulls her hands to him. I think later on it says she grabs a little bit tighter when they are going pretty fast. And so that's good, right? I mean, that's at least something. So that's good.
Independent movement.
Yeah.
And he's kind of almost getting this, trying to get himself in the mindset of back before, where he kind of has this line of be brave, be true, stand, where it's all or nothing. It's either going to work or I'm going to kill us both.
Mm-hmm.
But something's going to happen. And yeah, he starts flying, and kind of ignoring stop signs, kind of just going all out on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The note that I have here just says, sometimes you have to throw all caution to the wind and beat the devil. And he's going for it, right? It's like you said, it's either all in, all out life. It's, we're in this until we work or we're dead. So you gotta play those risks sometimes. Section number 6. This is another step back out of the, I'll say, plot, the narrative portions. And we have this italicized little faux narrator thing again. And Melissa, why don't you kick us off here?
Well, it really feels like this is the section where Dream Man finally leaves, right? It's not just him nostalgically viewing all of the town, but actually like, okay, I gotta go. And I feel like the overall gist of it is that when you finally do leave, you have to leave quick. And I feel like that, for me, works in a lot of my life experiences, that it's that ripping the Band-Aid off thing, right? It's really hard to let go of something that has been part of your world for so long, whether it's been, right, everybody comes into your life for a reason or a season or for long term, but every person and every place is there and has some meaning. And to have to let go of a place that meant so much, the longer you linger, the harder it is. So you might as well just go quick, because it's not going to get any easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And Benj, I think your note kind of goes along with that.
Yeah, and so when you're going away from that, you drive away quick. Drive away while the last little light slips away. Drive away from Derry, from memory, but not from desire. And that's going exactly to your point, Melissa. It's you have to just go. Just don't look back, but at the same time, know what you're going towards. Have that goal, have that desire of what you're heading towards. And I like that thought process there.
Yeah, I mean, the very last line of this section says, drive away and keep smiling, get a little rock and roll on the radio and go toward all the life there is with all the courage you can find and all the belief you can muster. Be true, be brave, stand. All the rest is darkness. And I just get like this, get out there and live a little feeling, right? Like, and we get into this in a little bit, the next couple sections too, but like, it's okay to be an adult, but like, don't forget what it means to be a kid kind of thing. And this really feels like a lot of closure from Stephen King to his own kids. It feels like a very parenting type moment, or like a high school, what do they call those? The speech, the
valedictorian.
No, like when the guest comes in. I guess the valedictorian speech would work too, but
it's the commencement speech.
Commencement speech. Yeah, I couldn't hear you. I apologize. But yeah, that's what it kind of feels like. It's like, hey, these are life lessons. This is the culmination of what I'm getting at in this book read this section. Like, that's how it feels to me. And pretty good words to live by in this section here.
Well, I think it's interesting. You had kind of mentioned that it was like for his kids.
Mm-hmm. Who the dedication of the book overall was to.
Right. So when the book was published, his oldest was 15.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had a 13-year-old and like an 8-year-old.
Perfect time to be hearing these kinds of things.
Like, that's exactly what you would say when your kids are almost grown, but not quite grown. And you're still raising them, but you're like on the backswing of that. So, because that's what you want, right? Like, you want them to get out there and live, but also like know what's the song? Know when to fold them, know when to hold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. So that's kind of the feeling here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
When do you leave? When do you stand up for what you believe in?
Yeah, very much the live long and prosper.
Yes.
Mentality.
Section number 7, we get back to, I guess, what is like the last actual plot piece. Is that right? And Bill's riding like a demon, right? And
ride like the wind, bullseye. Oh wait, wrong series.
Hi-oh, Silver. And yeah, Melissa, tell us who decides to return.
Audra's a person again.
She's back.
Yay, she's not a zombie anymore. I'm very excited.
She's just a cranberry now.
Oh my gosh. And Bill isn't stuttering. Happy endings all over the place.
Yay.
And they lived, not all of them, but the ones who lived happily ever for the moment.
Sure. They all lived, especially the ones who actually survived happily ever after.
Ish.
So when she comes back too, they're flying down Up Mile Hill, I believe, or close to it, heading towards Up Mile Hill. The streets all run together in this damn town, literally into the hole. They all run together into the hole. But she goes, Bill, where are we? What are we doing? And he just screams out, "Hi-oh, Silver!" And she's like, "What the fuck, dude? You're going to kill us." "Oh, you think so?" And she's like getting happier and happier, like laughing about it. She's like, "I know so, but don't stop." And so she's in, like, as soon as she's waking up, she's into it. It's like, that's kind of a cool feeling of she's back pretty much almost to 100% or to what Bill needs in that light with it. But one note I had that just kind of hit me, and again, doing a little research on this, sometimes you got to go back to go forward. And Bill that day had to revert, as we talked about earlier, wearing kids' clothes. He was wearing a bright orange tank top, Keds, I think some jean shorts or something, put Audra in a teeny bopper style looking dress or shell top shirt and jeans. That's what she was wearing. And the day Georgie died, he lost his childhood. He started losing his childhood the day Georgie died. So he was forced to become an adult. And doing this, he knew he had to regain his childhood at some level to bring that magic back would be his last chance to get Audra back. And it worked, and that might be the last gasp of dairy of that last bit of magic. He sucked all of it out for her, but I think it's a good use for it. Yeah, I think so. And that recapturing of his childhood, I think that's a really strong sentiment. I hadn't really thought of it that way specifically, that it was taken from him originally, and getting it back is a big part of this. I like that bit of closure on that thought for sure. I also like that, kind of along with your first note there, Benj, that when she does kind of come to, she questions it, but then she also doesn't fight it. And I think if she would have resisted, it wouldn't have worked. Like it would have like reverted, and she just would have something bad would have gone wrong. They would have crashed. They would have died. Yeah. But the fact that she questioned it, but trusted in what he was doing well enough to enjoy it and be a part of it, that's why it worked fully. And happy endings all over the place. Oh, it's just so happy. The final section of the book. We got clapping and everything. Yay.
I was singing happy in my head.
Okay. I saw you dancing. Let the camera show. She is dancing. Final section of the entire book. We have made it. And this is very similar to section 6, right? It's kind of a continuation again. It's kind of a big commencement type feel to it at times. Benj, why don't you take it away here?
So, well, mine I think kind of tied into
Oh.
somebody else's.
Gotcha. Melissa, go for it.
So if there was just one line that really stood out to me, because I'm gonna be honest with you, most of the italics dreamlike stuff I just skipped. I'm like, whatever. I don't need to revisit this.
Skipping Hobbit songs and italicized pieces. We have things to talk about.
Yeah. I tend to do. You know what I don't skip? Sorting Hat songs.
Just saying.
Yeah.
That's on my I will read list. Anyway, this line stood out to me because I feel like this is a lot of my world. It's good to be a child, but it is also good to be a grown-up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't miss being a kid. I liked being a kid, but I really enjoy being an adult, which is not typically most people's opinion, other than the whole having to wake up and go to work thing. I don't like that. But everything else, for the most part, I like being a grown-up. But I spend a good part of my life around kids. That's what I do. So it's nice to see that bright-eyed wonderment, right? I'm not surrounded by other adults all day who are just tired of adulting.
Beat down. Is just tired. Why?
Right.
Why am I tired? Oh, because I'm alive.
Right. Because I woke up today and I haven't had 17 cups of caffeine directly injected into my veins. Anyway.
There's a lot of blood in my caffeine system.
But I do. I think it's good to find the balance between both and to not forget both of them. What is it that Dumbledore says?
That's my note. That's my note.
Okay. Nope.
Yep.
Then I'm gonna let you tie right into that.
Yeah. No, because that's. Go for it, Benj.
Well, I was gonna say I realized that mine does tie into the very first part of this section here.
Yeah, go for it. Then. You're good.
So the opening line is: he awakens from the dream, unable to remember exactly what it was or much at all, beyond the simple fact that he has dreamed about being a child again. So, did this actually happen, or was this all just in his head?
Of course, this is all in your head, but does that make it less real?
Exactly. Thank you.
It's. I mean, it is though, and that's kind of the cool thing about storytelling in general. It's like, yeah, I mean, it might be real, it might not, but like the lessons and everything you can take from it, those are just as applicable. I mean,
technically, the whole book is a work of fiction. So
I'm saying storytelling in general.
Okay, go ahead.
But, like what Melissa was getting at, it is all about balance. Be a kid when you can be a kid. Be an adult when you're an adult, but also don't forget what it is to be a kid. And this is the Dumbledorian quote of the day.
1,000 points for Gryffindor.
100,000 points for Gryffindor. Youth cannot know how age thinks and feels, but old men are guilty if they forget what it is to be young. And that sums up a lot of what clearly Melissa was thinking when reading this section, because she nailed it too. So yeah, and I think it's a really great sentiment of, yeah, get older. Like, don't be afraid of that, but don't forget what it means to be young too.
Exactly. And so I do have one final inside baseball note that I hadn't realized, but
I didn't until I saw your note here.
Yeah, so at the very end, it says, this book was begun in Bangor, Maine, September 9th, 1981, and completed in Bangor, Maine on December 28th, 1985. Little inside baseball, we are recording this on September 9th, 2019. So exactly 38 years ago, this book was started to be written today. And I think that for as well as we timed a lot of this, that's fairly fitting for all of it.
The other thing that's really cool is the first episode we recorded was on December 28th, 2017. No, it wasn't.
I was going to say, no.
It was not terribly far off from then, honestly. It was not terribly far off.
Yeah, we did. We started recording in like October.
It's within like a year. I mean, it's close.
But we did release like the week, without knowing, like the week of the DVD release of the new movie.
Yeah.
Did hit that one. So, but anyway, I thought I read that today. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, that's ironic, interesting, fitting, lucky, all these things.
Exactly.
Melissa, how's it make you feel?
I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be paying attention to the actual dates. I don't know. We've been recording since I was 7, so I'm 79 now. This is taken. No, I'm just kidding.
She's 76.
Whatever. I'm tired, right? I'm an adult. I stopped listening. Sorry.
Why am I tired? Because I'm alive. All right, we actually have some questions for the new reader. I see, which is like the first time in a couple chapters. And how fitting for the last chapter.
So, in fairness, this really isn't a question just for the new reader or anybody in general. But I thought about this last episode as we were like wrapping up our favorite things, and I couldn't pop it in, so I threw it in here. Why did no one bother, especially in the interlude, to mention to Myra that her husband's dead before they, all forgot about him?
That's a really, really good point. Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of a dick move.
Like, send a letter at least.
Exactly. Something. Give her some closure. She didn't do anything wrong. She just loved her husband too much.
Oh, yeah, no, she was a loving wife. I mean, I think that's true. It was abusive in her own way, but she loved him.
Yeah.
The police probably know, right? I mean,
how? They're not going to find him.
Yeah, him and Tom Rogan, fucked off in the wind.
Like I think that's a loose end that they forgot about. Like they did the whole Tom, and I'm going to report him as a missing person. But how about the poor wife who knows nothing? Something's there's going to be questions. I mean, not from the dairy police because that guy died.
That is true.
Both of them. The two dairy police officers we know. Well, two of the three.
I was gonna say there were like four that we knew. In the Adrian Mellon chapter, there were a couple. Yeah. There were like four. But screw that guy, Rademacher.
We're gonna crush your head. Crush your head. Sorry, that's so mean. Okay, I'm gonna ask my question now. Ready, Luke?
Yes.
This is specifically for Luke. Many eons ago, we arm twisted you into reading this book.
In all my spare time, right?
Yeah. Did you like the book?
I did. And I was truly very surprised as to what this book was. I think it's way, way more than a horror story. I think it's way, way more than growing up and you hear about it, right? And if you don't know, if you haven't seen it, and again, I haven't seen the films or the miniseries, and maybe those are closer to what the pop culture fake version in my head have always been, where it's a little bit more on that side of it. But the overall societal things that King was able to, I think, attack in this book is really, really well done. That whole list of isms that he goes after, and I just really, really appreciate it. And I was very, very surprised by that. And I mean, chapter 2, you have a homosexual being murdered in a hate crime, and that's the crux of the chapter. And it's like, wow, okay, that's not what I thought this book was going to be about at all. And then there's other, feminists and racism and all sorts of things that come into it and all feel very natural. I was incredibly impressed by King's writing. I do think the actual fights with it, with how long we took on this, maybe it colored like expectations in some way, but I was a little let down at the very end, just with the last numbered chapters, I guess. They weren't bad. It was just, how do I not get closure on a couple things of like specifically what it is and all these things, even though it's all symbology and symbolism. So I don't know. I overall really, really enjoyed this book.
Good.
Questions from the new reader. Question from the new reader. Melissa, what's the first book we're going to do in the podcast that floats down here, book club that starts early 2020?
All right. So give me a second.
Oh, I caught her off guard.
I actually have it pulled up.
Okay. So in 2020, we are doing the Stephen King book club. So Floats Down Here will become a monthly live stream on the podcast, that YouTube channel. And our first book will be the first Stephen King book that was published, Carrie.
All right. So make sure you get your reading done ahead of time and join us in January.
And just know we will be publishing the entire 2020 list in early October so that you can be prepared and read ahead, along with actual podcast dates that will be streaming, so that if you want to follow along live and chat with us in the YouTube chat while we're recording, we will be available. But I would pull out your old copy of Carrie now and dust that off and get ready.
All right. Until 2020, you can still find us.
Favorite things.
Okay, let's talk about our favorite things from this chapter.
Okay, let's do that.
Until 2020, we'll tell you about our favorite things this chapter. Melissa, what was your favorite thing?
Non-zombied Audra.
Yeah. Was there anything specific about how it was done, or just the fact that she was?
It
okay?
worked. I like that it worked. It like he pulled it off, and Silver once again proves that he is the best character in the book.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you. Audra coming back from catatonia is what I called where she was. I'm happy that it worked. That same thing, pretty much. So, Benj, what was your favorite thing?
Yeah, so mine's a line Luke had mentioned it, but I'll read it again. Drive away and try to keep smiling. Get a little rock and roll on the radio and get toward all the life there is with all the courage you can find and all the belief you can muster. Be true, be brave, stand. And it just go, do, be. It's just simple but effective.
Absolutely. All right. Be sure to check us out on the socials on Instagram and Twitter at Floats Down Here. Send us a digital balloon or whatever other Stephen King thing we can start using now to floatsdownhere@gmail.com. Check out this show and all of our shows at thepodcastthat.com. Subscribe, like, rate, and leave comments on iTunes and YouTube. Make sure you go to the Podcast That Family of Podcasts YouTube channel and subscribe now.
This show and all of our shows at thepodcastthat.com are produced with the love and support of our wonderful Imaginary Legion patrons. Learn more about our reward tiers at patreon.com/stayimaginary.
We will see you again here shortly in just a couple weeks where we are going to start the mini-series. And it's titled The Mini-Series with Tim Curry. So, came out early 90s, correct? So 1990. And
I'm sorry. I don't think of it as the mini-series with Tim Curry. I think of it as the mini-series with John Boy.
You mean Jonathan Brandis?
No. John Boy from the Waltons.
Who the?
I'm old.
I know, but I know all the actors in that movie, and adult who?
Adult Bill.
Oh, okay.
It's John Boy from the Waltons.
See, I always think of from Night Court. Judge from Night Courts.
Yeah, no.
Harry Anderson.
Yeah, I know. Nope. John Boy.
Luke's like, what the fuck is?
I know all of these. I know both of the shows that you're talking about. So.
Also played Jack on Young and the Restless for a little bit, but not the current Jack.
Anyway.
How many Jacks do you need? Anyway, until next time.
You'll float too.
Stay imaginary.
Thanks.